Hello, Master Manifester. Today we're talking about the state of 1111 and meditation, mastering manifestation in the Matrix. How the Matrix mechanics work just a little bit today, but mostly why meditation is such an incredible tool for manifesting your intentions. Let's get started. So the first thing meditation does in manifestation is to break the mirror. You've got to break the mirror of the Matrix, because all it's reflecting to you is all your fears, all your excitement, all of the old identities that keep you locked in to that constant, nervous system aggravation state, right? That keep you flowing and engaged, but often not in the ways that you would choose. So if you want to start choosing your own experiences, you have to understand that your system is automated. So just talking about neuroscience for a minute, your brain, your reticular activating system, your RAS system, decides and filters your experience of reality. You're not experiencing the actual reality. You're experiencing a cherry-picked version that fits your current identity. You're actually seeing the echo of what your identity just was milliseconds ago, right? So it's choosing your selective experience to align with your identity, which is your predictive processing system. What will happen? What will I do? Who you are to yourself dictates what you do, right? And when we start messing with that, as master manifestors will, it does put the system into chaos, right? So we're going to talk about taming the chaos just a little bit. We're going to talk about what meditation is for, why sometimes it feels a little boring, and what you can do to manage that and how to use it most effectively. So really quickly, how the story works. Your brain is always telling you stories. Your thoughts are like the emergent properties of the quantum field. They might actually be, like, I can't prove that, but they might. This is all theory. This is all research. We're testing theories, right? So if it is a quantum soup of probability, what you have is a blurry state of particles, right? In the real quantum field, you have a blurry state of particles until something interacts with it, like light or energy or another particle, and then it becomes into a definite state. Now, if we think about it for our thoughts, they're really just running through our head like story options, like a moving scroll of, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What if we did this? Who are we about this? What did they say about this, right? Just a constant moving reel. Now, everybody's thoughts are different, but this is generally speaking what is happening. Now, it also combines with your body and what your body is experiencing, because your body is like the baseline sensation, and then your brain is just interpreting everything that happens and making some meaning out of it, right? And the meaning can be multiple things. It can be, really tiny, really narrow focus. This is what we say about open-minded versus closed-minded. When you have a really narrow view, a very narrow perspective of reality, you have a tight kind of inflexible identity, which happens. Now, you can change that if you choose to. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Don't assume that you have to go saving people who have more fixed identities. If they're happy, or even if they just don't want to change, the system is automated to keep you surviving. So happiness isn't really a factor in the whole thing. Happiness is really when you have the lowest amount of entropy. And this is where you find the fun frequency, right? This is where in meditation and when you're focusing and you're thinking, your goal wants to be to find the most fun frequency, because fun is flow. Fun means you're enjoying the process, you're engaged, but you're not engaged in such a negative way that you want to get out, right? You're like, get me out of the matrix. There's nothing outside of the matrix. Everything is here. Everything you want to experience is here. It's not off on some other planet. I promise you, it's right here. You can access it. You can get to it. Now, if you want to go to other planets after that, I'm sure that somewhere along the story will materialize that. We certainly have it enough in science fiction, but who knows? I'm enjoying the story as we go. And that's the most important part, is to recognize you are a character in a story, occasionally observing yourself in more of a metacognitive way and a more thinking about what you're thinking way. But most of the time, you're in your automated processes. Now, you also have chapter breaks and chapter points, because a lot of the time you'll find yourself in a situation of sort of choose your own adventure, where you're selecting particular decisions and points, or at least it seems that way. But all of these things in your system are pre-selected by your unconscious system, by your identity. So when you start changing your identity using affirmations, visualizations, journaling, meditation, right? It throws the system into chaos because it feels chaotic when every system tends toward entropy, right? It tends towards the inevitable decay if it is not held together by external forces. It just inevitably becomes mush, like the particles that become blurry state until they're definitive. You need that interaction and consistent interaction to keep them in that solid physical state. This is what we're trying to do in manifestation. Okay, so I hope this is making some sense. Trust me, there's going to be more videos following up on this. This is just the intro, but I'm trying to give you an idea of what you're trying to do with meditation, what you're trying to change in your story. Now, why certain types of meditation, like stillness, zazen meditation, when you're focusing on the single point of stillness and just trying to be completely mindful, completely present, right? It helps lower that chaotic static and smooth out your ability to see what's really going on, right? And it's a practice. You have to, it's like a muscle. You have to train it. You have to exercise it. You have to give it direction. And just like muscles or body shapes, when you're training your body, you get all different kinds of, shapes of muscles. Maybe you have swimmer's muscles, dancer's muscles. So you need to find what works for you in the meditation. And you have moving meditation. You can be walking and meditate. You're really just trying to get your mind to focus on what you're doing, on the single point of now, right? So that you can see those story options and those thoughts more clearly and not feel drowned in your character, like completely enveloped by it, so that you can't notice, oh yeah, this is a story. This moment is going to pass and another moment is going to follow it. There are only two absolutes in the universe: constant change and adaptability. Adapting to the next moment. Constant change, adaptability. This is what the universe is made of. This is the magic. This is the magic. I'm telling you, when you start to see it and you start opening up to it, and it starts revealing itself in physical ways with extra synchronicities, I like to call it that, but I have synchronicities like every single day, so much that other people say it to me. They're like, oh, did you see that? Did you see it? I'm like, yeah, I saw that receipt that has, $3.33. Yeah, I saw that license plate next to the other license plate that they both have 111 on them. I mean, I see this stuff all the time so much that even when other people bring it up, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a Tuesday. Yeah. You want to get to that point? It's crazy, but it's so fun. And that's really it. I don't like anything that's not fun. Now, I will tolerate certain things because when you reorganize your identity and your system goes haywire because it goes into survival mode, right? You're going to feel so uncomfortable for a while. You may even get physically sick because your body also is along for this experience. And the lowest entropy, the lowest breaking up, the lowest, terrible feelings is going to be when you get your brain, your body, gut, and heart all in alignment in the same identity system, the same predictive processing of this is how I live my life. And it happens in all different kinds of areas too. It could be, you could be completely chaotic in like money areas and totally stable in like matters of love or the heart or health, or, it's not just one thing, and that's what's so important to understand about the story is when you get your manifestation, when your intention reveals itself into reality, that's not the end of the story. That's just a new chapter. That's just a chapter break, and you moved over to the next one. So when you're meditating, I think the most key thing, no matter what kind of meditation you're using, whether it's visualization, whether you're just sitting and breathing, and breath work is so important, to clearing out the nervous system instability that keeps you from having your energy be efficient, you need to be energy efficient to let that stuff flow while your brain is rewiring itself, while your body is rewiring the situation from what it's always known, especially if you're making big changes, which a lot of us master manifestors, that's what we love. We love big changes, but the small ones are the important thing to look at. Because when you notice the small ones, you start training your reticular activating system to notice, I have this manifestation. This is where it is already real. And of course, the other is just naturally going to follow in the story. So I hope this helped you understand a little bit about meditation and mastering manifestation and how some of these matrix mechanics work, in neuroscience. Everything that I do is based in science, but it's also more science and spirituality working together. To me, they are the same system, just sort of interacting with each other, kind of broken down into pieces, and we use different words to try to describe the same things. So I'm going to, keep doing that. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and sign up for the Method Muse newsletter in the description below.